This is District Sentinel Radio, the newscast of record for the left. I'm Sam Sachs.
I'm Sam Knight.
We are broadcasting out of the well-fortified Sentinel bunker, sponsored by the DSA Accelerationist Caucus. Man, how you feeling over there, Sam?
Is it just me, or is it bipartisan in here?
I'm feeling the bipartisanship. I let the blue wave crash upon me last night, and then as it receded back to the sea, it left nothing but all these purple little starfish on the beach.
Here's one thing where I can find common ground with President Trump. I fucking hate Jeff Sessions.
Yes.
He's
the big
gone.
news here, Jeff Sessions out. Gone.
Get!
Get gone.
Get out of here! Get out!
That's right.
Wow. Jeff Sessions, I remember 2 years ago, pretty much 2 years ago to this day, the scariest thing about the Trump presidency was Jeff Sessions being Attorney General.
Yeah.
He was, if I'm not mistaken, he was nominated pretty much immediately. It was either way, it was obvious that he was going to get a big position. He was scary, very racist, very obviously a white nationalist. Loves the cops.
Yeah.
And he's gone.
Yeah,
He's
now he's
fucking gone.
disgraced too. He's not even getting any of the resistance welcome because he was forced out. Yes, he's resigning, but as he noted at the top of his resignation letter, at your request, I am submitting my resignation.
Another amazing thing about Sessions' legacy is his seat is gone. His seat is Doug Jones's now.
That's true.
So the Republicans just totally ate up one of their own and lost his Senate seat, and now he's out of a job. They have not named any sort of replacement. I would not be shocked if Lindsey Graham gets the nod. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I feel like he wants to name Giuliani.
He's been auditioning.
He wants to name Giuliani, but Giuliani, well, maybe he would get confirmed by the Senate. He probably would, but let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, I could see that happening. Here's the new
interim,
the acting Attorney General. This guy's the U.S. Attorney General right now. He's Jeff Sessions' former chief of staff, a guy named Matthew Whitaker. He's a former United States attorney from Iowa. And this is something interesting. He appeared on CNN last year. This is something that was flagged by Courthouse News. That's where I saw it. He appeared on CNN last year and was just one of those talking heads in a segment on, like, you know, how can Trump get rid of Mueller, the special counsel Mueller? And here's what Whitaker said. Quote, I could see a scenario where Jeff Sessions is replaced with a recess appointment and that Attorney General doesn't fire Bob Mueller, but he just reduces his budget so low that his investigation grinds to almost a halt. Disappointment here, but Whitaker has found himself as the acting Attorney General. And, I mean, who knows when a new one would be confirmed, but I'm sure this guy will have budget control for a bit. So suddenly he finds himself in this position he was opining on. I wouldn't be surprised. Look, I'm just speculating here. I'm allowed to do it every now and then on the podcast.
Go for it.
I don't know when this guy was hired as Jeff Sessions' chief of staff. I'm guessing it occurred after his appearance on CNN. I'm guessing this guy wasn't Jeff Sessions' chief of staff last year and appearing on CNN talking about this stuff. But I'm guessing that Trump might have seen this guy talking about this stuff, and told Jeff Sessions to hire him.
He takes his cues from TV.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, that is a pretty documented fact.
It was. I'm looking now. I'm not proud to admit this. This is his Wikipedia page. I will just straight up fucking admit it. I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. I know that's not the journalistic thing to say or do, but it was 1 month prior to joining the DOJ that he wrote the opinion column for CNN titled "Mueller's Investigation of Trump is Going Too Far."
Wow.
Then a month later, boom, Jeff Sessions, chief of staff.
I want to know how he was hired. Like I think Trump is a giant doofus, and rarely is he playing this sort of 12th dimensional chess that a lot of people ascribe to him. He's playing. But maybe he was in this case. Maybe he saw this guy on CNN or saw him on TV or something and was like, I'm going to get Jeff Sessions to hire this guy, and then I'm going to fire Jeff Sessions and get this guy to replace him.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. Total speculation.
I could see Trump putting pressure on Sessions and being like, hey, look, one way you could earn my confidence back is if you hire Matt Whitaker as your chief of staff.
Yeah.
And this was weeks after Matt Whitaker wrote in CNN about the probe going too far.
Mm-hmm.
And he was appointed by Sessions. I assume with great pressure from Trump. Now that the Democrats have the House, theoretically, we can find a lot of this stuff out through subpoena.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Yeah. So we are going to do a bit of a different show today, not doing the regular newscast, just sort of recapping last night. Thanks to everyone who tuned in to our midterm coverage. That was a lot of fun. Sam Knight really pulled through. People were worried about you at first, and then people were regarding you as a hero, like Michael Jordan's flu game. The way you were able to pull through one of the worst colds I've ever seen on an election night.
Yeah, I'm still struggling here, but I'm basically a troop, so I'm gonna ask for 15% off at Chipotle.
Should work.
I gotta say, you shouldn't worry about me. You should worry about Intern Suck. Can we talk about Intern Suck now, or are we going to wait till the end of the show?
Let's talk about Intern Suck. All right.
You got Intern Suck?
I got Intern Suck.
All right. How are you going to go to the mouth cam here and show everyone what Intern Suck?
Right. So Intern Suck, I think it's pretty safe to say that Intern Suck is dead. I mean, there are a few little, you know what, as I look at him again, it's looking better than it was looking the other day. Sam, can you confirm whether or not Intern Suck is looking better than Intern Suck was looking the other day?
I am seeing some prickliness here.
There was no prickliness earlier. Like, I thought Intern Suck was dead.
It's not looking good.
It's still not looking good, but I can confirm that there is more prickliness. There is more cacti definition than there was just the other day. So
reports of Intern Suck's death have been greatly exaggerated.
I'm going to say I'm going to say I was all prepared to come on today and make plans for a ceremony later this week. Maybe we were going to light
Viking burial.
Yeah, we were going to probably light Intern Suck on fire live on the show. But I'm not ready to pull the cord just yet.
That's incredible. Intern Suck rising like Lazarus.
Yes. I wonder if we should still keep Intern Suck quarantined though, so we don't get Intern Scully here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just put Intern. Where did I have Intern Suck last night? I should put him wherever I had him last night. He seems to have made a pretty strong recovery.
I think he was over in the living room.
Yeah.
Was all right. That's where he was.
So that's the Intern Suck update. It's really
Intern Suck in purgatory.
Yeah, not ready to let go just yet. So
that's where we are.
We'll
okay,
keep you posted on that. All right, Sam.
Shall we recap things where we stand now after last night, after the election? Move on to our analysis.
Yeah,
here?
real quick. People are asking for a slower close-up of Intern Suck here.
Okay.
So, maybe they'll be able to diagnose anything that's happening here. So I'm just going to hold it up there for a few more seconds.
Holding it up, waiting for the chat, the WebMD, all the plant hypochondriacs.
Yep. All right, I think that's enough. I think that's enough. We'll check in on Intern Suck tomorrow. Pray, though. Keep praying for Intern Suck.
Keep
the prayers
praying.
are working.
Prayers are working. Prayers are working.
All right. So one of the, I guess, real disappointing things from Dems took the House. We'll get to some positive things here. We'll talk about some of the good stuff, I guess, that happened, if there is any good stuff. But Dems took the House, so that immediately puts an end to much of the extremist agenda. Although when I hear Dems talking about bipartisanship, as we've heard several Dems talk about in the wake of their victory last night, I immediately think of shit like cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Remember, it was Barack Obama who was proposing these things in the name of bipartisanship. So that concerns me a little bit. But I was so disappointed that none of the outright ghouls lost last night.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis won, Ted Cruz won, Steve King won, John Forte won.
Yeah. Duncan Hunter won.
Duncan Hunter won.
He's under indictment. And also very racist. He ran a very racist campaign.
Yeah. So, but as we went off the air, there was one race called Scott Walker.
Scott Walker, yes.
Out.
Gone.
Lost in Wisconsin.
You lost in Wisconsin. Scott Walker. Also, I guess we did note this last night, I think. Did we cover Chris Kobach losing on the air? Or did that happen after we went off the air?
That might have happened right after we went off the air.
Either
That's
way,
a really good one, too.
Either way, yeah. Chris Kobach, governor of Kansas, has been at the forefront of suppressing the vote all over the country.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking right-wing whack job, Koch brothers errand boy. And he fucking lost. He lost. He lost. And that was very good. A sad note as well. Prop 10 in California, rent control, that went down. I know there were a lot of our friends on the West Coast not just on the West Coast, in California, which does make up 2/3 of the West Coast, pretty much. The point is, rent control, Prop 10 went down. That's shitty. That sucks. There were some good notes. Medicaid expansion happened in 3 states, Utah, Nebraska, and Idaho. I think I recall seeing something saying that means 300,000 more people will get health care. So ballot initiatives, always left-wing ballot initiatives always pass. You got to get that shit on the ballot. When people are voting on that directly, it always passes, even in red states like Nebraska,
Idaho.
There
used to be sort of a strategy to not put these sort of issues on midterm elections, but more and more it seems like these ballot initiatives are drawing people to the polls more than some of these lame-ass candidates are.
Yeah. Some updates on races we were keeping an eye on yesterday. Bruce Poliquin, still up in the air, although it's leaning towards his opponent, Jared Golden, and Bruce Poliquin, the only remaining House Republican in New England. Looks like he's going to go for an exit, but we're still not sure. Dems, it looked like when we were going off the air that they were going to win Kansas' 2nd district. They won. Yoder was, I think, the 5th or the 3rd. They beat Yoder, but then they lost the 2nd. They were ahead, and then they lost it.
Yeah.
But they did flip 1 seat in Oklahoma, of all places. Steve Russell lost out in the 5th district. Interesting there. And Karen Handel, who beat John Ossoff in that very famous special election, she's gone. She's gone now. She lost the Georgia 6th in like a lamb, out like a lamb. I don't know what I'm going with there, but anyway, that's just some recapping.
Should we go over before we get to these the sort of aftermath of this election and get into the press conferences we saw today out of Trump? Should we go over the fantasy scorecard?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do that.
Well, first, there was the Dem pickups.
Where
will Dems win more? This is in the zine. If you guys fill these out, some of these are still pending. But go ahead. What do we have in this first one here?
It was between California, Florida, and Pennsylvania. That was Pennsylvania, clearly.
On air, I said Florida would, but huge disappointment out of Florida for Democrats last night.
Huge. New Jersey, versus Minnesota.
Other than the felon allowing ex-felons to vote, that passing, that is good.
Oh, in Florida, the
Yeah.
ballot initiative.
the
So
only
maybe
positive
next
thing
time
that came out
around,
of Florida,
maybe next time around, the electorate in Florida will be more humane than it was. Anyway, New Jersey and Minnesota. That was maybe a close one, but while Dems picked up 2 in Minnesota, they lost 1. Their net gain was +1. It was +3 in New Jersey. Picked up more in New Jersey. Virginia and Illinois, +3 Virginia, +2 Illinois. So that's Virginia. Nevada and Iowa. That was Iowa. They picked up 2 seats in Iowa. Democrats making that heartland comeback, baby. This one is too soon to tell. It's Utah and Kansas. It's looking like Mia Love is going to lose in Utah, the Republican in Utah. It looks like she's going to lose her seat, so that would be +1 for Dems in Utah. They're right now +1 in Kansas, so it's looking like it's going to be a push or Kansas. A little too soon to tell there. For Arizona and Michigan, it's looking like Michigan. I don't think Kirsten Sinema has any realistic shot of clawing our way back. So it's either going to be push or Michigan. Too soon to tell. New York, they're still also wrangling over the 22nd district there. New York versus Texas. So right now it's push because they're both at +2, but it might be +3 for Dems in New York. North Carolina and Ohio, we can call this one. This is a push. Dems didn't pick up shit in either one. So 0-0 there. Interesting pairing by us, I think. Some of these were very close. And so count them up. If you had Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Virginia, Iowa, probably push on Utah, Kansas, Michigan probably, and I'm going to say New York probably. That's where we're going, and then push on North Carolina, Ohio. But we'll get back we'll certify these results.
Yeah, we'll revisit this. And then we had the where will the GOP Senate candidate perform better?
Yeah, Texas, North Dakota. It was North Dakota by a lot. Beto surprisingly did well, I got to say. Beto, I take my hat off to him, even though he talked like Obama, which was weird and creepy, and he should never have done that. But he did well. GOP performed better in North Dakota. And we had Arizona and Missouri. Missouri, the clear favorite there. Montana and West Virginia. Montana, they did better. They lost both, but it was closer in Montana. Nevada, Florida. Florida, obviously, Rick Scott won that shit. Although, is there a recount? I'm not sure if there's going to be a recount or not at this point.
I think there is. Nelson's team is saying there
will be.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But it's probably either way. I think Rick Scott did better because Heller lost pretty comfortably. Tennessee, Nebraska, Mississippi. It was Nebraska where their Republicans' margin of victory was biggest. So North Dakota, Missouri, Montana, Florida, Nebraska were your answers there.
Cool. And then we had the final one, the lightning round, that featured, will the dean of the House lose?
We got the photo of Don. No, we don't have that. That was last night. Okay.
Yeah.
Don Young. Don Young did not lose. He hang on.
Any New England House Republicans next year? That still remains to be seen.
Looks like no, though. I think when the ranked choices happen, Poliquin's going to go down. So that's probably no.
A New Jersey Republican in either house next year?
Yes, there is. There's going to be for sure because Chris Collins, the congressman, under indictment for insider trading, has won his re-election. So he will be in there. I don't know how long he will be in there and whether or not he will be dragged out in handcuffs or what. Although I guess he was already arrested technically, wasn't he? I don't. Anyway, the point is yes, Chris Collins, New Jersey Republican, in the House, and so there's going to be a New Jersey Republican still, at least one.
And then this is still to be determined, I guess. Will there be a runoff in the Georgia gubernatorial race? Probably not, given the way Kemp has operated throughout this process. He will deny any sort of accountability or oversight over these results. So,
yeah, when we were writing this quiz, I think we kind of forgot how some of these things aren't settled for a while. But eventually we will certify these results, and you can collect whatever you bet your friends on if you want.
And then the last one here, will Democrats pick up any seats in Kentucky
They came close. They came very close. Bless them. But Andy Barr hung on.
Yep. All right. One of the last bits of business to attend to from last night was, of course, the Up Against the Wall. This is the final. Well, some of these could still get crossed out, but I guess we had, 26 out of 35? Republicans getting crossed off the wall here.
Had a lot of X's on our sheet. If you followed along, you might have had bingo somewhere.
Yeah, 26 out of 35. Some of that survived. California's Jeff Denham, Mimi Walters. These surviving for now, I should say. Some of these could still lose. We've got Andy Barr, who did survive last night.
Tinney. Oh, we should have crossed out Tinney. It doesn't look like she's going to survive.
She's going to make it.
Fitzpatrick in the first. He's going to survive.
Yeah, MacArthur, Bud all survived.
Chabot,
Balderson, Fitzpatrick.
Mia Love, actually, we forgot to cross her out, although it's kind of early.
Yeah, there's only, I think, 60% reporting. There's still a lot of votes out there, and she's only down like 3,000, but there's not.
Tom MacArthur is probably going to survive, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the Up Against the Wall, who is up against the wall, and you crossed him out.
Yeah, I didn't put all the devil horns on them, but hopefully you did at home. So we did see some reaction to the news last night with Donald Trump giving a press conference today in which he's claiming victory. He won.
Republicans have never held more seats in the Senate, my friend. And this is all the other presidents. They lose seats, but not Trump. He won seats in the Senate.
Yeah. He claimed to be very pleased with the results, but he was clearly mad.
Oh, he was very mad.
He almost got in a fist fight with Jim Acosta from CNN at one point. This is a new thing that he does, I guess, when he gets frustrated with the press. He just backs away from the podium. Like, he's like, I'm just going to walk away from this thing until you all be quiet, sort of like a teacher does, like with a kindergarten class.
Yeah.
And it worked, actually. It's like everybody backs down as soon as Trump walks away from the podium. It's like, they might get their access cut off to the president here by standing up to him. Let's immediately back down. But
yeah, I was surprised because before he came out, the cable pundits were going on their usual spiel. It's like, is Trump finally going to change? And I was a bit surprised by the tone he struck, where he was feeding off of what Pelosi said in terms of bipartisanship. But I guess we do see him do these things from time to time where he's like, yeah, I want to work with Democrats. Of course I want to work with Democrats. And then, like, in 36 hours, Pelosi will tweet something about how he fired Jeff Sessions, and it will sour the milk or whatever.
Yeah, or maybe he just says he'll work with Democrats, and then Stephen Miller steps in his office and is like, no, remember, we have to preserve the white race in America.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that agenda that we're on. So, yeah, no deal.
There were disgusting moments in the press conference. Trump does this thing where whenever a foreign reporter speaks and they have some kind of accent, he belittles them and says, I can't understand you. I don't even know what you're saying. Yeah. And he obviously does know what they're saying because he responds to the questions.
Then there's some dipshit New York reporter who's like, I'm from the Bronx. You'll understand me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what I'm saying when I want to get a classic slice and a bagel down at the bodega.
And, yeah. There was one good moment of Trump uncouthness, and that during the press conference, and that was when he started ripping on the House Republicans that lost.
That was good
one
as hell.
By one, and he was naming them and claiming, I don't think this is necessarily true, but he was basically claiming that all the House Republicans who didn't accept his help were the ones who lost.
It's completely not true.
Well,
like 30 different House Republicans that wanted his help that he tweeted in support for or went and talked for lost.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, but he was pointing out the ones like Comstock.
Yeah.
If Trump had shown up for Comstock, she probably would have lost by 30, I would imagine. But that was pretty funny. And we had one guy who was not happy. Who was it again? It was
Ryan
Costello
Costello
from Pennsylvania. You're closest. Can you read out what he tweeted there?
Sure. To deal with harassment and filth spewed at GOP members of Congress in tough seats every day for 2 years because of POTUS, to bite your lip more times than you'd care to disagree and separate from POTUS on principle and civility in your campaign, to lose because of POTUS and have him piss on you, angers me to my core.
Yeah, why don't you cry about it when you're looking for jobs on Craigslist, bitch? I saw someone point out on Twitter that that Costello had voted with Trump like 95% of the time. Yeah, did he bite his lip when he did that whole time when he's carrying the water for him? Shut the fuck up. Cry me a fucking river. You're just upset because you lost.
Yeah. We also saw Nancy Pelosi speak today as well as last night, both times talking about coming to bipartisan solutions. You know, forgetting that we are dealing with a president that ran one of the most racist, white nationalist midterm campaigns we've ever seen, let alone a presidential campaign from 2 years ago. Straight up, you don't usually see the White House directing the military and all resources at its disposal toward a racist, white supremacist midterm campaign. But
you know, I don't expect Nancy Pelosi to get up there and say we're gonna stonewall him at every stop we got. But like, why do you have to extend the olive branch to this? Like, to a side that is just intent on talking past you, no matter what.
And it's not just learning from Trump. It's what we've learned for the past 10 years now.
Yeah.
10 years Nancy Pelosi's been there, which is why, to me, there's no question that there needs to be a new speaker. And there obviously Chuck Schumer needs to step the fuck down, too.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody who had a worse night than Chuck Schumer last night.
Chuck Schumer, whose entire goal over the last 2 years was we gotta protect the red state Dems, and one by one, boom, Donnelly, boom, McCaskill, boom, Heitkamp. Who am I leaving out? Manchin won, but still 3.
Yeah,
that's
Donnelly,
a big loss.
Yeah. And
when that was your whole fucking strategy.
Yes, that was why you gave Republicans all those judges.
Yep.
So that you could send these Democrats back home to campaign, and they all fucking lost. And now all these judges are sitting in these positions around the country. So
well done, Chuck. Chuck's got to go.
Chuck's got to go.
I think Pelosi will go. I don't think it's up to her. She has to win an election to become Speaker of the House.
The problem is that election will probably happen before these new members come in. I think they want to have that election in like December or something. The other problem is, look, there's nobody else who's come forward seeking the position that's worth a damn. Like, we all have fantasies of Barbara Lee, someone being Speaker of the House. But you see Barbara Lee appearing today next to Nancy Pelosi at a press conference. I don't see Barbara Lee mounting a campaign for that. So, like, there are no other options. Like, she's got the whole Democratic caucus bowing to her on this thing, except the one dude
Tim Ryan.
Who's the dude who was talking basketball to you at the bar? Tim Ryan.
Tim Ryan. That was Tim Ryan.
I thought you said Tim Moran. Yeah, Tim Ryan. Other than him, who's kind of a dipshit himself.
Yeah, he is a total dipshit. But I know it's like kind of a knee-jerk take to have, to just be like, literally anyone would be better than her, but literally anyone would be better than her. And because the message it sends in terms of accountability, and Pelosi can just lose fucking time and time again. And, everything good that her name is attached to happens in spite of her, not because of her.
Yeah.
Bush, 2006, that was Republicans fucking it up. 2008, that was all Obama. That had nothing to do with Pelosi.
Yeah.
2010, her master strategy to completely lose control of the House after just 2 years. That was great. Anyway, preaching to the choir.
We were watching, what was it, Jim Clyburn, the number 3 Democrat. The first question they ask him, with the majority, are you guys going to begin probing the president or trying to reach out on some bipartisan solution? He's like, we're going to keep reaching out. Hopefully we'll be able to get some stuff done that we can both agree on. It's like, you won't. You won't.
No. Shall we move on to talk about turnout?
Yeah, turnout.
It was pretty high. It was, according to the BBC, it was about as high as 47%. It's the highest it's been since the 60s, roughly. Look at that spike if you're watching.
Yeah, that is a big turnout.
It is a big turnout, presidential style. I will note, though, interesting that turnout was high in the mid 60s when labor was stronger. Midterm turnout. I don't know if you're engaged, if you like democracy in your workplace, you're more likely to participate in it in real life, and these things feed off each other. So just another reason why Democrats are letting Republicans sort of run the roost over them recently. No love for the unions. Speaking of Pelosi, I love to bring this up.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
But in 2000 and after 2008, after Dems won everywhere, there were a majority of House members that co-sponsored EFCA, the Employee Free Choice Act.
Basically made it a lot easier to
form a union. It would have. Pelosi did not even bring it up for a vote. Because I don't think I think she wanted to not embarrass the moderates in the Senate who didn't want it to deal with it. But what is that what kind of message does that send about your party?
Yeah, this is sort of getting it done we need from the next speaker.
Obama was like in the campaign, like, folks, I'll walk on the picket line, folks, and I'll renegotiate NAFTA for the unions, and you can't even get a vote on EFCA when there is a fucking majority of the House co-sponsoring it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so turnout would be higher. The point is we'd see higher turnout if Democrats did more for labor.
We are nearing the final months of Paul Ryan's career in the House for now. I wouldn't doubt if he returns one day to that or the Senate or somewhere. But how relevant was he this time around?
He was not that relevant. I feel like some of this has to do with the fact that he wanted to try to help out people who were in trouble. Here I am, I guess, apologizing for Paul Ryan's failures already. But so he campaigned for people in a number of states, and I'm just going to read out his batting average, I guess, his how he did his. What do you say when a hitter was like 1 for 3 that night? What is that called? I don't know. Whatever.
Don't know.
Well, anyway, so
like
Ryan
above the Mendoza line is 200.
So Ryan was 2 for 4 in New York. He was 1 for 3 in New Jersey, 0 for 1 in Pennsylvania, 0 for 2 in Minnesota, 0 for 2 in Iowa, 2 for 2 in Illinois, 1 for 1 in Michigan, 0 for 1 in Kansas, 2 for 2 in North Carolina, 0 for 2 in Virginia, 1 for 1 in Kentucky, and 1 for 4 in his home state of Wisconsin.
Ooh, ouch. He did manage to get his seat secure, his own seat.
He did. Iron Stash did not end up winning that.
Yep. All right, so some final thoughts on election night. I am sympathetic to the idea that despite some high-profile losses, I think when you look at Gillum losing and O'Rourke losing, and it's easy to be pretty disappointed by that. But I think I am pretty sympathetic to this idea that they mounted campaigns that did change the electoral map and lay some groundwork that can be used going forward. I mean, in the Gillum race, it's hard to deny the role that racism likely played in that election in Florida. As someone who's from Florida, and saw a lot of it down there. I mean, Gillum ran a good race.
He did run,
and DeSantis ran an awful campaign. I mean, I guess he ran a campaign to appeal to that Trump white nationalist base. He had his kid building a wall in a commercial.
Yeah.
He was openly flirting with racists, and it's pulled off for him.
Yeah, that's a real kick in the arse. I can't help but think about the polling being so favorable to Gillum in the days coming up to it, and thinking that voter suppression had something to do with it. Like, just trying. I'm not saying that. Maybe what we had here was a repeat of the what's known as the shy Tory phenomenon, where people tell pollsters one thing, and then they get inside the voting booth and they're like, you know what, I'm a fucking racist. I can't vote for Andrew Gillum when no one's looking. So maybe that was it. Maybe it was voter suppression. Either way, we should probably solve Florida and push it out into the middle of the sea.
The number one reason is voter suppression here. I mean, that is what's happening here. Hopefully, with the restoring felon voting rights amendment passing, something can be done about that. But the suppression occurs at a layer above that. Even if you are eligible to vote, it's hard to get out there and vote, and you still can have your name purged at any moment, and still have to endure long lines and broken machines. I mean,
I'm a little sympathetic to the idea that maybe it was Gillum tacking a little to the center, but maybe I'm just looking for confirmation bias.
Maybe. I think it happened just too close to the election. I'm not sure how many voters were going to be like, yeah, I'm voting for Gillum. Oh, there's Hillary Clinton. Fuck that. I mean, that only applies to like me and maybe 3 other people. But
yeah, true. Maybe some people were extremely online. I don't know, but. Definitely, I feel like the Florida races will be ones to study, to really sort of look for data and reasons why things did happen the way they did. Ohio, too, where you had Sherrod Brown winning and Rich Cordray losing.
Yeah, both
both Democrats. Some interesting stuff to parse through there, I guess, if that's the kind of thing that you like doing, looking at electoral data. Looking ahead, though, to 2020, may I look ahead to 2020?
Sure.
Should we do that?
Yeah, well, real quick, just to kind of put the bow on 2018, I think it's going to be real interesting to see what Democrats' strategy is going to be. It needs to be two-part. It needs to be heavy on investigations and subpoenas.
Absolutely.
I still support impeaching Trump. I still think there's a case to impeach Trump. And I think you can do two things at the same time. Work to impeach Trump. At the same time, be passing legislation that represents the agenda you want to bring forward.
Yeah.
You talked about this morning raising the minimum wage.
They should be doing that day one. They should not hold...
Pass single-payer health care.
Yeah. Although, especially with the $15 minimum wage, like, you don't need to hold hearings on this. We need a higher federal minimum wage. There's absolutely no reason to hold a hearing on this. It should be passed the first day that Nancy Pelosi or whoever has the gavel.
Yeah.
Imagine that statement of intent. Imagine, because a lot of times when you have split chambers like this, something the House does, it doesn't really fucking matter. The press doesn't report it anyway, because who cares? Republicans repealed Obamacare, like 60 times when they had the House and Dems had the Senate. So imagine Dems first day, headlines, boom. Dems pass fucking $15 minimum wage. First day, no hearings. They just pass it. Imagine what that would do for the Democratic Party brand.
Yeah. Just do that sort of stuff. Republicans had the whole repeal and replace bullshit. Impeach and replace.
Yeah.
We're going to impeach Trump because he's blatantly corrupting. He's a corruption, and he's using the White House to enrich his own business and himself. The courts have found this.
Yes.
It's pretty clear he impeded on justice. So
lying to whip up racist hatred, openly sympathizing with fucking Nazis.
Yes, there's more than enough to put in articles of impeachment, but like have a little working group that's working on the impeachment case and then start passing this legislation. When it comes to this legislation, will be where a lot of these new lefties who've been elected can wield some power. And I'm curious, it's easy. It didn't used to be, but it's gotten a lot easier to run as a leftist in elections.
Yeah.
In a lot of areas.
Do you think Ocasio-Cortez will be able to get a vote on Medicare for all? I don't.
Well, what I'm saying is it's easy now to run as a leftist. I think it's going to be a lot harder to govern as a leftist with all the influences and just the sort of I mean, I don't know if these people will get enamored by working on the Hill and feel like they suddenly have like this duty to reach across the aisle.
Ugh.
But I sure hope they don't.
Yeah.
Sure fucking hope they don't.
Sure hope not.
All right, you looking ahead.
Looking
you
ahead.
wanted to bring up the Senate.
2020. Another thing about the waveness or whatever, last night the map was very favorable to Republicans. 2020 looks a lot better for Dems. We got some Republicans who are looking like they will be vulnerable. Susan Collins, of course, comes to mind. Tillis, North Carolina. Joni Ernst, Iowa. Mitch McConnell, maybe. He probably will win, but either way, it's fun to say that he might be vulnerable. Cory Gardner is definitely very vulnerable in Colorado. Daines in Montana, a bit of a stretch. Kyle, Arizona, stretch. Pat Roberts, Kansas, definitely a stretch. But Dems won a Senate-wide election in Kansas. You know, they have the governor there. So if the Democrats can win one statewide election in Kansas, maybe another. Meanwhile, on the other hand, there are some Dems who are looking vulnerable. Most notably, Doug Jones is up in 2020. I would bet that, maybe they will nominate Roy Moore again.
Doug Jones is the type of guy that's going to tack real fast to the right in the year leading up to his election and then just lose by 15 points.
Or maybe he will run with the brilliant strategy of Republicans will definitely nominate Roy Moore again.
Perhaps.
We also have Jean Shaheen, New Hampshire, though I don't know how vulnerable she actually is, and Martin Heinrich in New Mexico. But Dems could potentially, with this map that we're looking at and how things are spreading, not too far-fetched to say they could win back the Senate in 2020. But they're Democrats, so we know they fucking won't.
We've got a whole primary battle to stake out before then, and I'm just waiting to see who's going to jump in the race over the next few weeks.
Who's going to jump in, other than Delaney, Congressman Delaney, who's been running for 2 years now?
Yeah. Okay, so that's the show. But before we go, we do have some haikus to read. We're going to put them at the end of the show here. It's the first time, so let's get to the poetry for the new subscribers. Guess I'll go first. This one goes out to Joseph. I'm the big winner, I yell. After a clear loss, I'm still the winner.
Thank you, Joseph. This is for Christian. Protect the red states, Chuck Schumer yells to the void. Then his pants fall down.
Thank you, Christian. This is for Pat. The Dems and fascists working together to pass infrastructure bills.
Thank you, Pat. Finally, this is for Bethany. Bipartisanship, it's back in a big way now. Means test prison camps. Thank you, Bethany. Thanks to all the new subscribers on Patreon, patreon.com/District Sentinel. I know the show we made public. It's not just on our Patreon stream right now, but you get the show every day. If you subscribe, you get your own haiku. You get to watch the Sentinel cast or listen to the Sentinel cast at the end of the week. You get to participate in the garbage can proceedings. It's well worth it. You get the zine. Did you talk about the zine? I didn't talk about that. I forgot the zine. You get the zine. You get the semi-weekly zine. You get to participate in the chat, which we occasionally read stuff. What's going on in the chat here? What is going on in the chat? First of all, I want to apologize to the chat. I didn't participate in the chat really last night during the coverage. I was very much shifting between tabs, looking at election stuff. So I didn't get to commiserate with everyone over the state of interns suck. And I just wanted to apologize for now. Kevin says, Beta O'Dork. Ivan says, I borrowed Beto's F-bomb. I'm so fucking proud of you guys. Randall says, did you see intern Nate last night? He's the principal in Eastbound and Down. At least he's not Stevie or whatever. Luke says, they tricked us, suck lives. Then I tricked myself. We did trick ourselves. Nate is a tall boy, is what Luke says. Joseph he's not that tall actually. Joseph referring to intern suck, not dead, not really alive either. Y'all don't know if the Sams are addressing this anytime soon, it says Alex, but Amazon might be putting one of their HQs in Crystal City, that's Northern Virginia. Local DSA has a big fight ahead, but if you could whisper, Kill Jeff Bezos before bed. I'd appreciate it.
We'll leave that to the Street Fight boys.
I did not just actually say that. I was just reading. I'm just reporting the news here. You can't sue me. Luke says Amazon is thinking of putting themselves in Long Island City, which would definitely make our gentrification issues worse. It's almost like wherever Amazon goes, it's just going to bring fucking ruin. Ivan says GA recount is still up in the air in response to a question from the chat. Kevin says anime bread. Anime bread is what he said. Luke says solidarity to our troop. I think he means me because I was saying what I was saying.
Or intern suck. I'm not entirely sure.
Zuck is not yet at. Oh wait, no, I can't. Joseph says no Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security cuts. All caps. Full agree. Alex. Joseph says Virginia going blue. Alex says we're grilling brat. Canning Comstock.
Nice. All right, let's leave it there. Thank you for watching.
Let's do it. Thank you for watching. Yeah.
Call the rent line 202-684-6108. There's a message from Keister in there. Forgot to play it. We'll play it on tomorrow's show. We'll play Keister's message. Thanks for calling, Keister. Thanks to our sponsors, the Congressional Dish podcast, hosted by Jen Briney. Find it at congressionaldish.com. Another sponsor, levelnews.org. Again, if you haven't yet, subscribe on Patreon, patreon.com/District Sentinel. The newscast returns tomorrow. We're here in D.C. so that you don't have to be.